Every window in the school reflected light. But one mirror didn't. It sat cracked and crooked in the hallway near the gym. Hundreds of students passed it every day, none looked twice. Until the day a man in a brown cap and dusty jacket walked in with a toolbox. He wasn't a janitor. He wasn't a teacher. He was the mirror repairman. But what he saw in that mirror made him freeze. Because that mirror didn't just reflect faces. It reflected truth. And when he fixed it, everything in the school changed. Because sometimes a broken mirror sees more than a clean one. Full story. On the edge of Millfield, a small American town nestled between hills and cornfields, there was an old school building, Jefferson Elementary. The bricks were worn, the playground rusty, and the paint peeled off the walls like dead bark. But it was home to 600 children, dozens of teachers, and stories that no one ever talked about. And inside, just outside the gym, hung an old mirror. No one knew who put it there. It was cracked in one corner. The glass foggy. A strange ripple in the center made it look like water on a windy day. Most kids passed it without a glance. Some said it made you look weird. Others said it whispered your name when no one was around. No one listened. Until one Friday afternoon, the principal, Mrs. Duval, noticed something odd. A boy named Trevor, a quiet, pale 8th grader, stood in front of the mirror for almost 30 minutes. Just standing. Not moving. When she asked him what he was doing, he whispered, "I saw my brother." But Trevor didn't have a brother. His only sibling had died 2 years ago. Principal Duval got spooked. She called maintenance. They shrugged. So she picked up the phone book and found someone old-fashioned. A man who still listed his number under glass and mirror repairs. His name was Hank Sullivan. Hank drove an old Ford truck with a cracked windshield and a rusted red toolbox in the back. He looked like he walked out of a different time, flannel shirt, faded jeans, hands rough as tree bark. He didn't talk much. Didn't ask questions. He showed up Monday morning with coffee in one hand and the toolbox in the other. The students whispered. Some pointed. Is he homeless? A 3rd grader asked. No, said the janitor. He's just the mirror guy. But Hank wasn't just that. Hank Sullivan had a secret. Years ago, he had a son. Ben. Ben was 12 when he died. Slipped in a lake while chasing a runaway kite. Drowned before anyone could reach him. Hank never forgave himself. He stopped talking. Stopped working. Until one day, a stranger gave him a job. Fix a mirror. It was the only job he didn't quit halfway. Because when he looked into it, he saw Ben's face. Just for a second. Since then, he started repairing old mirrors across small towns. Not for money. Not for fame. But because sometimes, just sometimes, he saw people he thought he'd lost forever. And every time he fixed a mirror, something changed. Back at Jefferson Elementary, Hank stood in front of the cracked mirror. He touched the glass gently. Then he whispered something no one heard. It was like the mirror shivered. Then he began his work. Meanwhile, something strange started happening at the school. That week, 3 students who were always bullied suddenly became popular. A teacher who hadn't smiled in years walked into class whistling. And Trevor, the boy who stood still in front of the mirror, started drawing again. Drawing his dead brother. Exactly as he was. Same shirt. Same freckles. Same scar on the chin. Everyone asked, "How do you remember him so well?" Trevor simply said, "He visited me." One evening, as the hallway lights dimmed, Hank heard a whisper. "Dad." He spun around. The hallway was empty. But the mirror shimmered like moonlight on a lake. Hank stepped closer. He saw a boy behind the glass. Ben. Smiling. Tears rolled down Hank's face. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I wasn't there." The boy didn't speak. Just reached out. Hank raised his hand to touch the glass. But just before their fingers met, the lights exploded. The next morning, the school was buzzing. Students said the hallway light flickered all night. One girl swore she heard music. The janitor found Hank sleeping on the floor, his face wet with tears. But the mirror. Perfect. Smooth. Clear. Like it was never cracked at all. That Friday, something impossible happened. A group of fourth graders were walking past the mirror when they saw a reflection of themselves. But not as they were. As they could be. Smiling. Happy. Free of fear, pain, or worry. Each child walked away feeling different. More hopeful. Even teachers began to gather around it during lunch breaks. Principal Duval called it the hallway miracle. She wanted to interview Hank. Put his story in the paper. But Hank had already gone. Just a sticky note left on the mirror. It wasn't broken. Just hiding. HS. Months passed. The school changed. Bullying dropped. Grades improved. Even the building felt brighter. Every morning, students stopped by the mirror and smiled. They didn't know why. It just made them feel seen. Understood. And every now and then, someone would say they saw something unusual. A loved one. A memory. A version of themselves they'd forgotten. But one winter morning, the mirror fogged. Just for a second. A crack appeared. Just a hairline. Trevor was the first to see it. He called Principal Duval. She stared at it, heart racing. Should we call him again? She asked the janitor. The janitor nodded. Yeah, call the mirror guy. Far away, in another town, Hank Sullivan packed his toolbox again. He looked at a photo of Ben. Kissed the edge. And smiled. Another mirror was calling. Another truth needed fixing. Because some people fix glass,